Alright, so wait, this is actually an audio test. Wait, I decided I'm going to leave that in the video anyway, that's a little funny. Alright, so a little while ago, actually a pretty long time ago, I did this little mini-series about the 100 things that I really want in Splatoon 3. And because there is no new news about Splatoon 3, although as of recording this, there's been no direct announcement, but watch me the next day after uploading this, see a direct announcement, that'd be hilarious. But as of right now, there's been no news, so we've got time to kill. So I thought today I would think of 25 things that Splatoon 3 shouldn't have. And I say 25 because I really couldn't think of 100 things that it shouldn't have. So yeah, without anything else, yeah, here's 25 things. Alright, number 1. Too many returning maps. I know apparently I hold the controversial opinion that there shouldn't be a whole ton of old maps coming back in Splatoon 3, but I think we can all agree that more new maps would definitely be better than a ton of old maps coming back. So I hope Nintendo doesn't go absolutely crazy in the whole bringing back old maps department, because wow, we really do not need a whole Splatoon 2.5 controversy there. But yeah, number 2, I really don't want all of the maps being deserts. A nice chunk of them, I can see that working out pretty well, but if all the maps are super desert, it's gonna get pretty old with the scenery pretty quickly. Just throw some greenery in some of the maps, or maybe throw us in Splatsville for some of the maps, rather than just having us in the Splatlands the whole time, but yeah, just don't make them all deserts. Number 3, stop time gating modes. We're gonna have some alternative to Salmon Run in Splatoon 3, and please, for the love of God, Nintendo, please do not time gate them. That would absolutely suck. I guess Salmon Run is kind of manageable with how it's time gated, but it's really inconvenient if you want to be playing Salmon Run on the off day that it's not available. Who wants to mentally train themselves to know when Salmon Run is going to be available? It's stupid. We should honestly have the ability to play it whenever we want, because we're going to be the ones paying $60 for this game. And I get that it's a cultural difference between on how Nintendo schedules things. There's a really cool interview you can read on how Nintendo decided to schedule Salmon Run, and I'll try to find it and link it in the description, but it's kind of a cultural difference, but it kind of sucks. And everyone just kind of gets shafted when Nintendo does these stupid time shift things. But after that, we have number 4, which is Hero Mode 3 should not be used as a tutorial. So both Hero Mode 1 and 2 were used as a tutorial to get people introduced to how the game works. And I guess I kind of get it, especially since these were the first 2 entries of the game. And for a lot of people, for most Splatoon players actually, me included, Splatoon 2 was their first dip into the Splatoon series. So having Hero Mode 3 on the same system that also has Hero Mode 2, which is the tutorial, it kind of just doesn't make any sense. People that play Splatoon, most people that play Splatoon 3 are probably going to be people that return from Splatoon 2, or at this point, culturally, most people know what Splatoon is, and most people know that you paint the ground to play Splatoon. So it really doesn't need to be a tutorial, and if they don't let it be a tutorial, they can really flesh out the story and the gameplay a lot more than what they could if it was a tutorial. Think about how Octo Expansion is just leaps and bounds ahead of both Hero Mode 1 and 2 combined. Imagine what Splatoon 3's story could be if it isn't a tutorial. But I think you guys understand my point now. So on for number 5, that would be Octavio should not be used as the antagonist again. Do I really need to talk about how horrible of an idea it would be for Nintendo to make the funny Octo Man the antagonist again? Come on, if they're not gonna flesh out his character, then stop using him like this. Come on. He's such a blank character. Octavio probably has the least personality change and actual character development of any of the Splatoon characters, and I mean any of them. The characters that don't even talk. Man, Agent 3 and 4 have more character development than Octavio, and he's got lines in the game, man. He's just God, I'm a DJ, and my personality in game matches nothing up at all to what it is in the lore, but God, I'm gonna remix your brain and stuff like that. It's so stupid. They just absolutely ruined this character in the actual game. In the lore, he's so different. And honestly, if they're not gonna actually just go out and fix that, stop using him entirely. But, alright, I think I've spoken on that enough. So number 6, drop all of the useless currencies. It's so stupid how we have, like, the cash currency as the main currency, but the most important things in game you can't buy with cash. Like, yeah, you buy the weapons and the clothing with cash, but like drink tickets, food tickets, stuff like that, like especially drink tickets, like you need to make your own gear sets, and like you can't depend on RNG for everything, so you need to somehow influence it more, even though you're still forced to use RNG anyway. And you can't get those with the money that you get from playing battles. You have to get these stupid tickets from playing other modes that you might not want to play. If you're focusing in PvP, you should be able to use the currency you get from PvP to make your PvP build better. Not go out and play PvE to then go get gear that you can play in PvP. It's stupid. Like, I get that Nintendo wants us to play the whole game, but like, if I don't want to play that part of the game, I shouldn't have to play that part of the game. I'm paying for the game, so why can't I play it my way? And once again, that kind of goes back to the cultural difference of between America and Japan on that one. Well, like the whole West versus Japan on that one. And once again, look at the funny interview if I can find it. I'm gonna be having to dig for hours for it now. Watch me have to do it. But yeah, after that one, number 7, don't have a lack of X rank at launch. Like, the whole X rank thing kind of just really doubled the value of Splatoon 2's ranked multiplayer system, and to have X rank not present in Splatoon 3 at launch would just totally suck. And I say, like, it sounds like a no-brainer, but like, come on, this is Nintendo. They would so leave out X rank and then add it back later. I don't want that to happen. Splatoon 3 really cannot be lacking any of the key features that Splatoon 2 added. But anyways, after that, number 8, we have 1-day Splatfest. So Splatfests have kind of just gotten better progressively over time in Splatoon 2. And they definitely, stitching the 1-day system has probably helped them out a lot more in terms of FOMO. Like, yeah, Splatfests are very big, like, FOMO situations, but making them 2 days is so much better than making them 1-day things. And they function better as 2-day things rather than 1-day things too. So, just keep them at 2 days, maybe even go for 3 days more often, but if they want to save 3 days for special events, that's totally understandable. But 2-day Splatfests are kind of, that's like the perfect point. I can honestly see 3 days getting a little annoying. 2 days, that's kind of perfect though. Unless they add ranked battle to Splatfest, then yeah, definitely go for 3 days, but 2 days, that's kind of the sweet spot, so keep it at that. Number 9, no more region locked gear. So I don't know who all remembers, or even if you've been in the community long enough to remember the whole hashtag gear for all thing, but basically it's all about how there's all this really cool Japanese exclusive gear, and like none of it is available anywhere besides Japan, and it's stupid. Especially with some of the stuff that's based off the Splatoon manga. Like, that's assuming that no one outside of Japan is reading the Splatoon manga. And yeah, probably the biggest audience for it is in Japan, but there's no reason to region lock it. It's kind of stupid, and honestly, I might even give it its own video one day in the, like, relatively near future. Depends on if we get hit with some Splatoon 3 news soon, which, holy crap, we need it. It's been so long. But yeah, the whole gear for all thing, it needs to end. Nintendo just needs to give everyone everything. There's literally no reason to just keep gear exclusive to Japan. But after that, we have number 11, which would be more accurate regional matchmaking. So I don't know about you guys, but I very often get matched with Japanese players, and I gotta be wondering, like, do we have such a big disconnect issue because we're trying to matchmake with people that are just so far out of our regions? Like, yeah, I primarily get matched with people that seem like they're at least in the continental United States, at least for my region, but I very often find myself in lobbies where I'm with a ton of Japanese names, which means I've got to be matching with people in a Japanese region, which is probably doing a lot more harm than good when it comes to, like, making my connection more stable. So if that's a big issue in the whole disconnect problem, then we need Nintendo to, like, seriously make sure that we are matching, like, very much primarily with our own region rather than just matchmaking anywhere. Like, if we want to play with a friend who's in a different region, then yeah, change it. Let you guys go on whatever region you want to at that point. But if I'm solo queuing, then I want to be matching with people in my region so we have a stronger connection, especially in ranked when I have a scenario where I can get a disconnect from someone who's in a totally different part of the world, a total opposite side of the world, and for some reason I'm getting matched with them because reasons. So yeah, I think Nintendo should definitely make regional matchmaking a little bit more accurate to just definitely help out with connection. And if it's a scenario where you can't find players, but like I doubt that'll happen because this game's gonna be massive, then yeah, make it so you can matchmake with anyone around the world. But I really doubt that's even the issue with Splatoon 2 right now. Like I really think if they made the region locking a little harder for matchmaking, then yeah, I feel like it would be fine. Maybe like 3 or 4 years down the line they'd have to not do that, but for now, I think Splatoon 2 has the player base to even do that. And Splatoon 3 definitely will, especially in the first few years of its life. Alright, number 12, probably the biggest one. Do not, Nintendo, use your old servers for Splatoon 3. So I really am hoping that Splatoon 3 wasn't started development enough time ago to be made to like rest on Nintendo's old servers, i.e. the servers that Splatoon 2 has files in for to check if the servers are running on Windows 98, the operating system from 1998. So please, Nintendo, your servers should not be based around technology that old. And yeah, it has files in there to check if it's running on it, so it's probably not running on it. Who knows, maybe Nintendo upgraded to Windows 2000 sometime around in the last like maybe 10 years. But please put them on the new servers. It would help so much with disconnects probably. I don't know, I'm not really super into how servers work, but it would definitely help with probably even region matchmaking too. It would work miracles, I'm sure of that at least. Literally anything is better than what we have now, so please Nintendo put us on new servers, I beg of you. So number 13 would be the current option set in Splatoon 2 private battles. This needs a massive overhaul, and it's an overhaul that I have a video prepared on that probably is going to drop this week. I don't know if I get around to it, it'll happen, but Splatoon 2's private battles need a massive overhaul. And like I said, I'll get into that later in its own video, but it's way too limited right now, and I'm kind of just saving this one for the next video. So yeah, moving on. Number 14, returning hero mode bosses, and that means primarily the freaking octostamp. So hero mode bosses, yeah, they are there. That is I love doing unscripted videos. I'm gonna leave the whole laugh in there too. So hero mode bosses, they are there. And it's kind of just to the point where after Octo expansion, it's left a nasty taste in my mouth with how they just kind of reused bosses. Like some really cool like Camboko themed bosses would have been a lot cooler than just sanitizing older bosses. Bosses that we have defeated in some cases twice before, i.e. octostamp. But bringing back Splatoon 2 bosses for Octo Expansion 2, I didn't like that. I did not like that at all. I would have much rather new creative bosses that really like used Camboko themes in their actual fights, rather than just, I am sanitized, that's it. So definitely, let's keep the bosses from Inkopolis in Inkopolis and get some really cool Mad Max themed boss battles in Splatoon 3. Or better yet, just don't have mini bosses throughout the campaign at all and just keep the story going. I don't know, maybe just one big boss battle at the end. Whatever they choose to do, just please don't reuse a ton of old content. So number 15, don't reuse too many specials. Like don't bring too many of them back in the game. Like yeah, the Ink Strike, that's gonna be pretty cool. But do we really want Tinta missiles in Splatoon 3? And I know they're already confirmed, there's nothing we can do about that one. But like, I just really hope they go a lot harder. Like, they don't need to go as extreme as they did when making specials for Splatoon 2. Like, having totally new specials, that isn't even necessary. Like, as like strongly as against I am returning content in the Splatoon games, because I don't want to have another Splatoon 1.5 situation. I honestly think that if they just sprinkle us with returning specials, like maybe have like 4 or 5 returning specials, maybe like 6 or 7 max, and have like 14-ish, like 2 new specials for every old special in the game. I guess that would be a balancing nightmare if they had like 6 or 7, but regardless, just don't make too many of them return. I get the whole kind of vibe of having the Splatoon 1 specials come back, and this kind of like can go back to the whole like map argument in Splatoon 3 too, where like they shouldn't have too many maps coming back from the old games, but no, they are good maps, bring some of them back. the banned weapons would even make sense in terms of the lore of Splatoon, with it being crazy and chaotic, and the Splatoon 1 specials being banned. It would make sense lore-wise, but we're seeing Splatoon 2 specials come back too. And if I can already play Tenna missiles on Splatoon 2 somewhere else on the Switch, do I really need to have a second game of Tenna Missile Simulator? I don't know. Nintendo, please be careful with how you're reusing old content, because it is a very slippery slope to fall down before we just turn into the Pokemon community, and holy crap, that would be bad. Next thing. Number 17, Salmonlings. Don't do it. Number 18, forced unskippable dialogue, i.e. Sheldon giving out the weapon news and the actual news. Just let us skip it. I don't need to even say anything about it. This video is almost like 20 minutes long. I don't think I need to say the whole ton on that one. We all know what I mean here. Number 19, another train hub world. Please don't do it. Like, maybe the whole train scene from the trailer is just a one-off thing, and we're not gonna have another train hub world. But doing the whole train thing twice, that would just, I don't know, I wouldn't like it. Especially, like, if the whole theme of the Splatoon 3's, like, campaign is going to be traveling to get little buddy to where he needs to go, doing it on a train, that just seems a little lazy to me. Especially after just having Octo Expansion. Like, yeah, the train was cool in Octo Expansion. I don't know. This is coming from the guy who, like, loves Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Please don't make the train the hub world again. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be a little bit of a lazy thing to do there. Plus, the train on Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion was just a little bit too claustrophobic for my liking anyway, so something else would be better there. Number 20. RNG locking the ability chunks. Please don't do this again. Like, I'd rather some other grind to, like, slowly unlock ability chunks, but just making it so RNG dependent. I hate RNG. It's such a cheap way for developers to just add artificial playtime to it. I hate it. I hate it a whole ton. And if Nintendo could give us some longer, I'd rather a longer grind to unlock ability chunks than just to have everything randomized and everything RNG dependent. It sucks. It's like, it's such a mood killer when you grind for like 10 hours to get the perfect set of perfect abilities for your gear, and then just get that one thing that isn't what you wanted, and it just makes you go and wipe all of your clothing clear. I don't want that. I'd rather have a longer grind to get exactly what I want than an RNG driven grind that could make me spend hundreds of hours potentially on getting the perfect rolls that I want for my gear. And yeah, you can do ability chunk farming. I'd rather everything be more ability chunk farming focused than RNG dependent how it is now with like drinks and such. And yeah, like if you stack the right brand with the right drink, but like who's really out here making an equation table besides like pro players to find out the best way to farm ability chunks? It's kind of stupid, and I'd rather it just be more grind driven than RNG driven, because RNG driving things can make things just worse, like I described earlier. Number 21, the revival of Tartar. So, in case you guys didn't know, it was kind of hinted that during the Final Fest that Tartar was alive. Don't do that, please, come on, he had a satisfying end. It was a nice end for a villain who ended up being a little bit of a plot twist, and we're okay with where he is now. Let's leave Tartar in the past, alright? Number 22, going really hard with content for the first 6 months and then just drying up. So, Nintendo used to do this thing where a weapon was added like, I think every week in Splatoon 2 during the beginning of its life cycle. I'd rather them not do that and do more things like Sheldon's Picks or the Tony Kensa collections like every few months, rather than just nuking us in the beginning. I'd rather us have more of a slower thing with more content, so we can divide it up longer. So, and this would even be good for new players too. Like, if you're totally jumping in like a year or two after the game starts, then you're not just like in a world where nothing is being added, but like every few months there's a new package that comes in, rather than you have to be in the very, very beginning of the game to really experience the new content coming in. Because coming into a game that should be alive, that is just kind of dead, like how the state of Splatoon 2 is right now in terms of like updates for the living world. I'm not saying the community's dead, it absolutely is not. But like in terms of the updates coming to the game is dead. It's not going to get anything else. And I honestly feel bad for the people that have never gotten to experience Splatoon as the live game that is supposed to be. And I look forward to seeing your reactions to when Splatoon 3 comes out and you truly experience this game series as it should be. Splatoon is a living world, and it needs to be updated consistently for a longer period of time rather than just content nuked in the beginning. Number 23 is kind of similar to the whole, like, don't put us back on a train for the hub world kind of thing, and that would just be a boring hub world in general. Kind of like how Octo Canyon was. Like, I don't know, there were little things that you could find all over Octo Canyon, but they kind of just seemed like they were just thrown in there last minute so the hub worlds would be a little less boring. Like, give us an area to, like, really explore and find actual secrets in there, not just, like, little collectibles or little bonus salmon eggs or a little bit of sardinium in there. Give us, like, actual things to explore that are meaningful. Like, show us a nice skybox in a secret location or something like that. Something that actually captivates our attention. Not because it's a collectible, but just something that makes us feel something, not just collectathon things. Like, imagine this shot from the trailer here, not just being something that you just go through, but something that you have to, like, go out of your way to discover, just to see this beautiful shot here. What would be more rewarding to you? Collecting some, like, balloon little challenge thing, or just stumbling into this view? This is what Nintendo should do if they don't want to make a boring hub world. Number 24, only 2 maps in rotation. It's time for a third map to go in rotation. If we're not doing like even 4 maps, it is at least time for a third map to go in rotation. Either end the whole stupid map rotation things in total, or just throw one more map in there. It's so boring to be in the like hour-and-a-half mark of a rotation when you've played through the whole rotation and only have 2 maps. Like, I see the value in map rotations, and honestly, I'm part of the group now that says we shouldn't remove map rotations, because they can really help you getting that much, like, one-on-one time with, like, 1 or 2 maps. It is good for you to learn how to use a map, but it can also drain you out pretty fast when there's such a low variety of maps. So honestly, I think the number of maps we should be getting per rotation is, like, 3 to 5. Maybe actually just 3, but 2 is definitely too low, and it can drain you out on certain maps after you've played on them for like an hour and a half. And number 25, maybe one of the most controversial opinions from this list, I really don't want an Order expansion. And this is coming from the guy who was on Team Order. We've lost fair and square, and I don't think that going to the City of Order is really the best thing to do now that Chaos has won. Splatoon 3's theme is chaos. Everything is going to be chaotic. And you know what? Let's just vibe with the chaos at this point. Don't make a loser expansion for the losers who didn't play well enough to overcome the fact that there were so many more people on Chaos than us. We lost fair and square. Let's enjoy the winner's world. Article 4 of Splatfest law. We are forced to live in this world, so you know what? Let's do it. Okay, so now for those 2 entries that I totally forgot about. Number 10, a region exclusive art book. So in case you guys didn't know, there were 2 art books that were released generally all over the world in most main languages, called The Art of Splatoon and The Art of Splatoon 2. There was one made for Octo expansion called Hikira Walker, and it has never been translated into English. I don't believe it's been translated into any other language besides Japanese, and it has never made an official release outside of Japan to my knowledge. So this is kind of horrible in terms of people who want to learn about more into the lore or how Octo expansion was made. There's a lot of cool stuff that's come from the Hikira Walker that has been translated by fans over time, and just having none of that in the English language, at least for me, is kind of awful. So yeah, Nintendo, please don't do that again. It's a horrible idea. And number 16, a rushed launch akin to the launch of Splatoon 2. So if you didn't know, Splatoon 2 had this nasty name of Splatoon 1.5 when it first came out, because there really was not a whole ton different in Splatoon 2 than there was in Splatoon 1, besides like Salmon Run and a few extra maps. There was no Clan Blitz yet, which you can say whether or not that was a good thing. There was no X rank, and there were just generally felt like there wasn't enough stuff to really call it a worthy sequel to Splatoon 1. And especially with Splatoon 3 on the same console that Splatoon 2 is on, Splatoon 3 is going to need to come seriously packing if it wants to make a splash in the same place that there already is another Splatoon game on the same system. Alright gamers, that is it from me. I'm doing this video mostly without a script, so there's no funny ending if you subscribe. Did you know that I don't even know how many people are subscribed? It's got to be like 26%. If you're not subscribed, you get a bottle of there's a bottle of sunscreen on my desk. I'll sauce that over to you if you subscribe right now. Okay, yeah, bye.